TDS just reworked the Sledger tower and it's a lot better than before. How? Well, let's get straight into the stats. Before that, consider subscribing. Why? Ice is nice. Thanks. Now, the most noticeable change is that on its max level it gains a passive ability, Aftershock, that leaves ice shards on each of its arc attacks, freezing and damaging all enemies. Sledger is still a support tower though, with the perk of it also being able to deal some decent side damage. Let's start at level 0. At level 0, it starts off with a fire rate of 1.2, range of 6.5 and damage of 8. This leads to a total DPS of 6.7 at a cost of 950 cash. It's able to hit a max of 2 enemies at once, as well as dealing 15% slowness with each hit. It's also able to immediately damage lead enemies right off the bat, which is a nice perk. Next on level 1, its damage gets increased to 12. This leads to a DPS of 10 at a cost of only 400. Its max hits increase from 2 to 3, as well as its slowdown per hit basically doubling to 25% too, which makes this a great upgrade to go for. Following that, we have level 2. It increases its range to 7, as well as basically doubling its damage to 25. It also has its max hits increased to 4. This results in a DPS of 20.8 at a cost of only 1650, which again, pretty good value here compared to the before. Next up, we have level 3. Its damage again basically doubles from 25 to 45. Alongside this, it's now actually able to fully freeze enemies once they reach max chill. The slow debuff has a minor increase from 25 to 30%. This leads to a DPS of 37.5 at a cost of 3200. A tad bit more pricey, but for being able to fully freeze enemies, it's probably worth getting. Following that on level 4, the range gets increased to 7.5, as well as the damage increasing from 45 to 75. It, like the before, unlocks its Icebreaker passive. This results in its damage doubling against frozen and chilled enemies. This results in a DPS of 62.5 at a cost of 8250. Not a bad upgrade, but I'd probably at least get 2 level 3 sledgers before going for this upgrade. Finally, we have the max level, level 5. Its damage increases from 75 all the way up to 140. More importantly, it now gains an entirely new passive ability, Aftershock. It causes an arc of ice shards to form shortly after each attack, dealing 20% base damage as well as applying chill on enemies. This, based on footage, seems to increase the hitbox of the attacks, making it more likely to hit multiple enemies. Now, alongside this, its max hits also increase to 6, as well as the slow debuff going from 45% all the way up to 80. This is the same for its maximum slow, going from 65% to 80%. Its freeze time also gets a minor increase to 1.75 seconds. This results in roughly 140 DPS at a cost of 16,000 cash. Not bad. Next, we have pros and cons. Pros. Sledger now has really good cost efficiency compared to before at least. It also has surprisingly good damage, especially if it hits multiple enemies consistently. It has lead detection, which is nice I guess. I don't know. Cons. Sledger, as most melee towers, have bad range, making it vulnerable to very fast enemies. It lacks hidden and flying detection, making it not great at doing its job as a support at times. It also only has a placement limit of 6, which might limit some potential loadouts. Next up, we have tips. You should use this in combination with fire towers like Pyromancer. The slowdown of Sledger in combination with Pyro's damage just makes for insane crowd control potential. You should also try and place it close to the front to ensure that it's multiple enemies consistently. You should probably toggle at the last enemy if you want to maximize damage, as this increases the chances it'll hit multiple enemies. You should probably use multiple sledgers, as the slow fire rate makes using only one of them really unreliable against hordes of fast enemies. Overall, Sledger is way better compared to before, with it actually feeling like a reliable support tower. As for my ranking, I'm giving it A tier. Ice is nice.